the way, you guys want metric or English system?
That's the Panama Canal between the red and
the
green.
They keep a minimum depth in the shipping lane.
That's the main shipping
Of
lane.
a minimum of 12 meters, because sometimes the heaviest ships, they only have 2 meters to pass between the bottom of the ship and bottom of the ship of the lake. I mean, the rest of the lake, it can go up to 30 meters deep. In other parts, it's about ankle deep. So, well, all of this area being man-made, what was necessary to do that was to put a dam on the Chagres River. That dam took a couple of years to make, because every time in rainy season, the Chagres River can up to quadruple its water flow. So the first couple of years, they had it halfway done and the river would wash everything away. Finally, pun intended, they got the dam ready. And it took about another 4 years to fill up this lake. So all the water that goes into the locks, it is not pumped in, it goes by gravity. Right now we're approximately, remember I told you that the level varies a bit, we're approximately 25 meters above sea level. So on the Pacific side, that they have much more drastic tides. There are 2 sets of locks, the Pedro Miguel and Miraflores locks, and then there is a third set of locks on the Caribbean side. Every set of locks has 2 locks. Being 300 meters long, it's going to be 400 meters long and 25% wider, 25% deeper. What does this mean? That right now a Panamax, the largest ship that can come through, 290 meters long, can carry up to 4,800 containers. The post-Panamax, with that extra 25% increase in volume, will be able to carry 12,000 containers. We got some traffic, 40 ships a day on average, a little less, 39, 38, 4 speed that they take. Takes about 8 hours to go through, that's 80 kilometers from ocean to ocean. And by the way, the Caribbean is to our left. How do I know that? I work here. Oh, seriously. Seriously speaking, when you get to the middle part of the canal, the colors switch over. So that when you're going away from the center of the canal towards the ocean, you got the white and the red to your left. If you're going inland, then you have green to your left. So that would place the Caribbean left of us. Also to our left, it looks like dry land, but it's actually the biggest island on the lake, Barro Colorado Island. That means red mud. Smithsonian Institution has a research facility there with the scientists, mainly biologists, a couple meteorologists, harassing animals, plants, giving them complicated Latin names, hard to pronounce. We like to be snobby about it. And over here, directly to our left, where you see all that bunch, where you see kind of like a red coastline, that's Barbecue Islands. There's a tribe of cannibals there waiting for us to flip over. I'm not going on there. So if we flip over, swim the other way. I'm not gonna find out. I don't think they're there anymore. They might be on this island though. All the islands, just as a reminder, they used to be mountains and hills. So somewhere below us is the old railroad that used to be here. Now we have a new one on the eastern side. And also what used to be 10 villages. Now incidentally, speaking of the expansion, which is gonna take another 5 years, all this equipment we're seeing, that is to expand the depth and width of the lake at some points. It's also the water level is gonna go up about 1 meter compared to the normal levels. That's once the expansion is done. So this equipment should be here for another couple of months, but then after that, well, other groups just won't get to see it. Boy, they love the attention, so feel free to film them, take photos and everything. If you see little speedboats like the one that's, do not flip them the bird, please. That's the canal police. They're the ones that can pull us over, check our life jackets, check if our driver's drunk, which I hope he isn't. How do they guarantee that? Oh, they're always scanning it with sonar. Yeah, they dredge it out. The dredging division is always working pretty much every day at some point of the canal. So, well, I believe it was you who was asking us earlier about our independence, what it had to do directly with the canal. Because the French tried between 1880 and 1888, the mosquito wiped them out with malaria, yellow fever, dengue. And back then they thought that it was the fog, the morning fog, which caused the diseases, you know, like an evil miasma or bad vapors. That was not the case. It was the mosquito, and they were helping the mosquito because since they were so worried about the ants, they would put pails of water under the legs of the beds, and that bred only more mosquitoes. Panama was part of Colombia back then. We separated from Spain in 1821, and in 1827 we joined the Great Colombia. It used to be Venezuela, Ecuador, Colombia, and Panama. So when the Americans, when they bought all the stocks of the dead canal company, they immediately went with a proposal to the Colombian government who went, no, we don't want that to happen again. Even the Colombians are not sure why the hell that happened. So they're not really happy about November the 3rd because it's when we got our separation from Colombia. Yeah, they were denying the construction and no one knows, not even the Colombians are exactly sure why. But what the Americans did was that Panama had already tried to separate 3 times in the 19th century. So come the 20th century, this time they helped us because they wanted to build a canal, military and economic interest. So they put a naval blockade outside the capital city, Panama City. That way Colombia couldn't sail its troops in. And they used to own the train that was there before the canal, somewhere under us, as I said. If somebody wants to hold their breath, 400 feet deep, go for it. But when General Huertas came over to Colón City with his troops, for some amazing reason, all the wagons were in maintenance that day. But he was able to climb on a locomotive, come to Panama, and sign his surrender. Immediately, negotiations started, and Panama sent a French guy over, and the French guy, he just wanted a vacation and a salary, so he signed the treaties immediately, and the whole Panama Canal, and 10 miles to every side, which is the Panama Canal zone back then, it was perpetually in the hands of the United States. Until 1977, that General Omar Torrijos, half the country thinks he was a dictator who was burning in hell, the other half thinks he was a hero. But he signed with Jimmy Carter the Torrijos-Carter treaties, by which the US started giving back the canal zone piece by piece. So January 1st, year 2000, was the first day that the canal was and still is completely in Panamanian hands. So, well, as I was saying, the locks, they are run by gravity. The water just falls from the lake and into the sea. There is no salt water coming in. With the expansion on the 3rd set of locks, that might change. Although, I hope they change their minds because that will affect the water purifying plants. The Panama City's drinking water does come from the lake too, by the way. From Rio Chávez or on the other rivers, also feeding the lake. And precipitation, for those of you who understand a little bit of meteorology, in the lake area we can get up to 2,600 millimeters a year of rainfall. Which translated to feet, I'm not sure because that is kind of cubic measurements. Yes, sir?
Does the expansion of the Panama Canal has anything to do with Nicaragua's plans to build a canal on its own?
No, actually, well, when the canal was going to be built, Nicaragua also had a proposal. What killed them was, now no one is sure if Panama sent the stamp, that's a bit of historic legend.
Volcano.
But the stamp story is true. It was a stamp with 2 active volcanoes, while Panama has the Arco Chato, basically a structure that should not be there with a single earthquake, and it still exists. So when they were talking about the expansion, Panama wasn't really sure about the idea because the expansion was going to be a 2nd canal, and they kind of threatened us with Nicaragua again. They've always been planning to do it, but I don't really think that's going to happen.
Even today they're planning.
Excuse me?
Even today they're planning to build a canal. Even today they're planning to build a canal.
Yeah, they're still planning it. They want to beat us to it, but they're a really earthquake-rich area, so I don't see much progress in that. Now, one of the reasons that they came back up with the idea was because the US, one of the ideas to make a new canal, they wanted to grab in another part of the country and do a series of controlled nuclear explosions for the excavation, and Panama said no. Another thing is that when the Pacific is in low tide and the Caribbean is in high tide, there's about 3 meters of height difference. So the currents would make navigation impossible and the ecological disaster would just be immense. So that is why we're sticking to the lock system and just adding a 3rd one. But yeah, we're not really scared of Nicaragua. What is the lock? The 2 locks and 1 lock, and 2 sets of locks on the Pacific side and 1 set of locks. Because they do have to bring the ships up, over, and back down. How does it work? Well, basically the ship goes into the first compartment of the log. Then with gravity, the log is filled up to the level of the next one. And they do the equivalence by container capacity, gallon capacity if it's a fuel tanker, passenger capacity for cruisers. And I'm not sure about military ships, but I'm guessing by according to how scary they are, they get it cheaper. That's a wild guess. On average. Smaller vessels, they can pay $50,000. The minimum, meaning for a boat this size, would be $500 to cross the canal. On average, it takes 8 hours to cross the 80 kilometers. Another thing about the lake, we got two species of the crocodile family. The spectacled caiman, that guy you can tell them apart because the eyes kind of stick wearing a mask. They can grow up to 4 meters, that is 12 feet. And then we have the American crocodile, same family as the Nile crocodile and such. Those guys can grow up to almost 20 footers, 6 meters give or take. Usually they stay around 4. Now per square kilometer and 23 square kilometers, the last census says that we had 12 crocodiles per. But don't worry about that because a big female, in both species, the big female can lay up to 90 eggs, but only about 1% is going to survive to become adult. In the meantime, the little ones are eaten by snakes, by coatis, which is like a big raccoon, same family, eaten by other fish, birds, other crocodiles. So the 1% that survives are the ones who take revenge for their lost brothers and sisters.
What is this? The digging outfit?
Yeah, this is the dredging. This is not the usual dredging of always, although it is the same kind of equipment. They did have to hire to subcontract the company because with this what they're doing is that the shipping lane is going to end up being about 2 or 3 meters deeper than the minimum 12, and it's going to be a bit wider for the post-Panamax ships. So all this is part of the expansion project. Yeah. All of these are movable. Exacto, y ya se cruzan en ambas direcciones, se cruzan el equipo y todo. Hay suficiente espacio y maniobrabilidad y el GPS. El Caribe es hacia allá, cuando uno tiene verde hacia la derecha va hacia el océano. Y en toda la mitad del canal entonces los colores cambian. Tiene verde a la izquierda, está yendo tierra adentro. O sea, ahora estamos en la mitad norte del canal por Navidad. So, forward. Las serpientes aquí no son acuáticas, saben nadar, pero no tienen las adaptaciones para comer en el agua. Si tienen que atacar dentro del agua, se ahogan y se ahogan y ya no se de agua. Son 120 especies, 20 venenosas. days, so they might be out because they need to stay out longer warming up. Oh, by the way, if anybody points out a log and says it's a crocodile and then we prove it otherwise, there's a $20 fine. I get to keep 10 of that by law. So make sure to point a lot of logs at me. Nico needs a new pair of shoes.
Oh yeah, containers.
That in front of us, that's a Panamax. Maximum size. Anything bigger, you have to unload on one side and load it on another ship on the other side. At least for now. Looks dangerous, huh? That's what I want for the front bumper of my car.
Look, do they submerge that?
Yep. They put it under and start breaking up the bottom of the lake, and then with the pumps they pump it out along the big pipes we were seeing. Black diamonds on top, restricted maneuverability. Means that it can't move around, but you gotta be the one dodging it.